Hey, it's Lauren and Rod from NextGen Karate. Thanks for tuning in to our very first show. Who are we interviewing today?
Today, we are going to interview my good friend, Richard Mosdell. He's a good friend of mine. We talk a lot, probably every couple days, but he wears an incredible amount of hats within Karate BC and within his whole style association. So we'll try to intro him a little bit, but if we said everything, it'd take up the whole episode. But to start off, he is on the Karate BC executive. He's a director at large at Karate BC, so he's heavily involved in changing processes and helping out people.
Yep, he's also BC team manager.
For sure. As well, he's the Karate BC High Performance Chair, so oversees the system of the BC team.
Mm-hmm. He's also a full-time instructor at Kenzan Sports Karate in Victoria.
Mm-hmm. And he has his own podcast as well that he co-hosts with Kaylin Anglos, who we talked about a little bit as well with another interview overseeing the fitness testing.
Yeah, and he's the Canada Open organizer and promoter.
There you go. That's
which
the
is
one.
A new thing.
Yeah, it's brand new. It's coming to Canada, just like the U.S. Open. He's going to be in charge of it all and hyping it up. Are you going to go?
Probably,
Yeah, you have to go.
Yeah.
Lauren Reed, Canada Open champion, first ever.
I wish.
She's got a good ring. It'll happen. So anyway, we got Richard on the line right now. Hey, Richard, how's it going?
I'm good. Hey, I like this guy we're doing the big intro for. I got to meet him.
Yeah. He's okay, I guess. He helps a little bit.
Yeah.
So, you're a busy guy. I was saying to Lauren, we were talking earlier, we want to do a whole episode with you. But just today, we kind of want to talk about the BC team. The applications that you've had to sort through have been exponential compared to previous years, have they not?
Yeah, it's been really great since we changed the way that people can be selected onto the team. Going from a 3-gate system where you had to pass each gate, one from your zone, to the provincials, to the team selections, which meant if you weren't in the top 4 for your division at each of those gates, you're out. You had to wait till next year. This year, we've gone to a Grand Prix system. So 3 tournaments, 2 major ones, and you can compete in all 3. And at the end of it, who has the most points in the division will get to go forward, which will, I think, be more fair. And also, people can show that they've been developing over time.
Well, and that's, I think the biggest thing for me is because a lot of the athletes maybe not a lot, but some athletes that place in the top 4 don't end up being on the path to peaking at the right time. They could peak too early, and then all those developing athletes can come and surpass them because the system is such a long system over a whole bunch of months.
Exactly. If you like the old, we called it the zone system. If you like those 3-gate system, if you liked it, it's because you're on top of it. You knew how in your zone to be the best at it.
Right.
But with someone in our club, Big Steve, he started trying out for the BC team. He did the last year of the old system, and he just barely made it through each of the rounds. Had there been 5 or 6 other people in his division, he may have not made it through, and we would not see him until this time, a year and a half later. I remember the first tournament he went to in zones in the old system, he got, when his first match, beaten 8-0. But because there was only a few people, he got to just keep sliding through. In the last tournament, he beat that same person 8-0.
Wow.
Like a complete change. The other thing about the old system, and I think this isn't just with BC, but with other provinces, is, you would apply in March, start the first one in April. You'd have to wait all the way to the next March. And your age would change and your weight would change.
Absolutely.
And you have to really be ready to go to, if you do well, all the way to the Pan American Championships with the junior one at the end of August. So it'd be a year and a half. You can't change your age and you can't change your weight. And since 80% of the people on the team are turn the light on here. 80% of the people are teenagers. That's definitely going to change. So in the new system, by having the 2 major tournaments be really close together, then your age and weight really can't change that much.
Yeah.
But you can still have a chance to have a better day. So
Yeah.
And
Okay.
like this system in itself that you're describing for Steve is the same for Lauren. Because at the Karate BC Provincials, she was 11 years old, and I said, hey, do you want to try out for 12, 13 elite? She said, not right now. That's okay. So she did her 10, 11, and she won gold in kata and bronze in kumite.
right on.
And then, so now she's deciding, hey, this BC team thing sounds pretty cool now that I'm 12 years old. And then she's minus 35. So in BC right now, there's nobody else in minus 35. So because all those restrictions and roadblocks weren't imposed on you, you can enter this process and presumably go to nationals and be eligible to represent Team Canada, because it's such an open system now. And that's brand new this year for Karate BC, is it not?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So we accepted applications. Normally the team gets between 70 to 80 people trying out, and they'll take around 70 people to nationals. Last year, I think 110 people applied. We ended up taking 98 people to nationals. This year, there was like 185 applications.
Wow.
Now, some of the people are like 9 years old who just want to jump in, and it's a little too soon. But I think at the end of the day, we'll be around 140, 150. And there's a lot of new faces in there. And that's just huge.
That's massive.
Yeah. I think if we look back in Karate BC system, like 10, 15 years, maybe between 50 to 80 people were actually trying out. So this is a big jump. And there's a transition because the club instructors are the most important part of the Karate BC system, because they bring the membership to Karate BC, their members. So the more that they feel comfortable with this new system and understand it more, then I think, like, what Rodney's expressing here is they're going to find more benefits, so they can get more people involved. And it's less expensive. Before, you had to maybe go to Vancouver like 4 or 5 times in a year for a whole weekend.
For sure, yeah.
And now we're saying, no, just come to Vancouver twice. So we put more emphasis on the clubs.
Right. Okay. So is that the system change what you've pinpointed the mass increase in people to, or do you think it's inclusive of other factors like karate getting into the Olympics and a big push to competitiveness in karate?
I think the Olympics has kept the idea of high performance competition in people's minds, but then when they look at the program and see that it's flat, I think, when we ask people, that's really why I think they've come on board. Because and there's, of the 120 clubs in Karate BC, around 120, like 20 are very active in competition, and there are clubs now going, well, we used to just have 1 or 2 people, now we're going to try and send 5 or 6.
Right.
Okay.
One thing I like to tell people is, think of it as a 3-year process. When you first come to the BC team, so your first year, just try everything and see. What you're really doing is you're trying to be on the BC team squad, and the system goes October to February. So you're trying to be on the squad so that you qualify to move on to nationals. And so for everything that's in the squad, and if you get to go to nationals, expect to win nothing. Just get used to the system. In your second year, then what you want to do is definitely make it to nationals and try and be in the top 8. If you can be top 4 and get medals, that's great. In your third year, and especially your third year actually going to nationals, that's when you win nationals. You get your gold or your silver. And silver, I think that's a win, because then you get invited to go to the national team.
For sure, yeah.
Then at the national team, think 3 years. So think, your first year, you're going to, be included in some international events, but with no results. Maybe try and win 1 match. Your second year, again, try and get some best 8s, best 8 results. And in your third year, you're starting to really medal at those international events, especially the Pan Americans. And then the next 3 years, you're off to the Worlds.
Yeah,
and at
that's
the Worlds,
long
same
process.
thing.
Yeah,
it's a long process. So next one, your first World Championship, like a really big one, nothing's going to happen for you. Second one, you're going to be top 8, and third one, you win it, you're world champion. 9 years.
Wow,
that's a long time.
It's funny because people apply now and they go, okay, I've never been on the team before, so this year, okay, the World Championships is on, so I'm going to apply and I'm going to make the I'm going to be world champion in like the next 8 months. And so, and if you win the World Championships any time earlier than that, that's great. But it's 9-year process. And And then the family starts thinking about it, your friends, at your school, how you structure your schoolwork, how you structure your life going forward, how expensive that's going to be. It makes it realistic. And then, of course, you could be an athlete who just goes to nationals, and that's as far as you go, and that's great.
For sure.
You know,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. You know, I know people who've been 8, 9, 10 times, and they've always got some sort of best 12 or best 16.
Sure.
But that was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So say my name is Richard and I run a karate academy in Victoria called kensonsportskarate.com, and I'm not involved in Karate BC at all, and I look and I say, oh, so there's this Olympic program, there's these Canadian nationals, this is really cool. My students are asking me, how do I represent Team Canada? What is Team Canada? How do I go to the world championships that I see on TV? What would the process be for an athlete or an instructor to get involved with Karate BC?
Yeah, that's a great question, because more clubs are outside of Karate BC than are probably inside.
Sure.
And a lot of that is just because clubs tend to be quite insular. You know, either they're just about their activities are just about their club or just about their style association. So they have to join Karate BC and make an application. If they're a standard karate club, they'll probably have no problem getting in Karate BC when they make an application.
Right.
And that process will probably get easier over time as there's less emphasis on, where did you get your black belt exactly, to, yes, you're teaching karate and you're being safe and competent.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really important, because no black belt is equal. If you say this person's got a shodan and that person's got a shodan, and even when I lived in Japan, it was the same thing. There was no way to compare black belts across the board, because it's a personal journey. Right. When they do a black belt test in Japan, you might watch and go, why did that person pass and that person fail? You can't really think about it like that. You have to think about it for yourself. So then for joining Karate BC, it has to be the same thing. The instructor has to be safe and competent, understand the system. They join, and then obviously the instructor should do the National Coaching Certification Program. They should try and become an entry-level official, so they understand the rules really well. And they start making friends. That's a great thing I love about Karate BC, is there's all these people we can be friends with. And, I always tell the Karate BC executive, because sometimes they have hard decisions to make. I said, I'm here on the board because I like seeing you guys. I want to hang out with you guys and make fin decisions. And who else wants to talk about karate? So I think when you make friends in the karate system, then you'll come to tournaments and you bring your students to tournaments, and then they'll start getting better, and then they can start applying to be in the system.
Okay. I like that. Yeah. No, I'm the same way. I mean, tournaments and seminars and all that stuff is just a get together, right? Like the karate training is sort of on the side, and it's the suppers that you're together, it's the meetings that you're together that really is involving. So, okay. So they're in Karate BC, they've signed up, they've been accepted, they go where? So there's a system that goes zone, provincials, open, team selection. If they want to represent themselves on the BC team, they make your application through karatebc.org, and then you attend those competitions, and it's result based at the end. Right. That's correct.
Yeah. And for provincials, that was back in the spring. You had to just participate in your zones, even if it was just a training, but it was automatic to go through, just so that the idea is that you're preparing. And then even if you didn't go to provincials, that's okay. You just wouldn't get any points from it. You can still participate in the BC Open and the selection tournament. Those ones have more points.
Okay.
So if you didn't make it to provincials, or that wasn't your division, not a problem, because again, it should be flat to open. So you apply for the system. We do a start of season and end of season fitness testing. So the start of season we finished. We did some of it in your club.
Yeah, Lauren did it. She was tired.
That's right.
And she actually forgot her runners, so then she had to run the beep test in Emma's runners. But,
I borrowed a friend's shoes. That was okay.
Yeah, it worked.
That's okay.
It was challenging, but
it was pretty funny. So fitness testing, and then they get involved, and then they're on the team.
And then they're on the squad, and then they register through their club for the BC Open on December 10th. They do a full team practice on December the 11th, then selections on January 7th, then a full team practice on January 8th. Then even if they don't go to nationals, they have to do the end of season fitness testing that will be held regionally in February.
Okay.
And then if you get selected top 3 for kata, top 2 for kumite.
Mm-hmm.
They get to go to nationals, which are February 24th to the 26th in Quebec City.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's going to be wild.
Yeah.
So you're currently the Karate BC team manager as well, right?
Yeah. So what are your responsibilities as the BC team manager? What do you do?
Yeah, that's a really good question because I'm figuring it out as I go along. And right now, I'm answering a lot of questions about the BC team, and helping planning for events. One thing Karate BC wants to do better is we plan for an event and have a really great idea of the budget, who's showing up, how everything's going to work, and then we run it. And so my job is to oversee that, because normally there would be the BC team staff, like the head coaches and the assistant coaches and event coaches and a manager. In the past, we had like parents doing it, or we had Karate BC office staff. For a while, one of the coaches was doing it, and they were doing a great job. But the only thing is, the time they spent being the manager, they took away from the time as they spent being coaches.
For sure.
And as the high performance director, so basically the government said we had to review the way that we do our systems. So as a director, I had to lead that. And I thought, well, it just seemed natural, and the high performance committee and the coaching staff agreed that I would just do the management job, because I understood the transition the best that had to take place.
Yeah.
So booking events, replying to athletes, replying to parents, explaining the system. A really important thing to remember about being on the BC team is you have to be able to read, understand, remember, and articulate the BC team handbook. I get a lot of emails going, when's the next event? And my reply is, read the handbook. There was a really famous, maybe the most famous official in the world. His name was Tommy Morris, and he helped create the original World Karate Federation rules back when it was still called WUKO. And people would go to his seminars and to learn from him, because he helped write the rules. He understood it most intrinsically. And they would say, Tommy Sensei, what do the rules say about, what are the things we have to look for in kata? And he would turn to them and go back to the hotel room, open up the rule book, read it from front to back, memorize it, and then you may come back to the seminar. And I heard that from more than one person that used to say that about him. So I am not that gruff.
Yeah.
But it's important, even if you're a 12-year-old, you've got to read it. So that's a lot of what I'm doing, communicating. And then the next thing we'll do is, as we go through each of the processes and talk to the coaches, and we have really great coaches, and they've been on the staff for years and years now. And it's good. I don't want to see anybody leave. I want to see them elevate their position and get more experience and really get involved as much as they can. Even though there's less actual practices, the practices we're having are more important now. And the next thing will be planning to actually take this, probably the biggest team we've ever taken to the Karate Canada Nationals. So that means airfares, hotels, food, all that sort of stuff.
And that's pretty crazy, because BC's been so spoiled. It's had the nationals here 4 to 5 years. You'd figure that these hometown nationals would be packed, but just this new system and everything turning around, that's crazy that Quebec's going to be the biggest. Yeah.
Yeah. What's interesting is, athletes know that they're going to have to pay maybe $1,000 more than last year to travel, right? But we got, a huge increase. Yeah. So that probably showed that there was a lot of untapped potential about the team, and by flattening out, we unlocked that interest, because if these people are willing to pay even $1,000 more than last year, that means that the interest is really, really there. And also, the club instructors are still learning how to articulate and explain it to their members. And I think as they get better, the interest will grow. So there could be a year like next year where we could be looking at 220 people applying to be on the team.
Unbelievable.
And the people on the team right now are like, oh, please don't go back to the old system.
Yeah, exactly. They want their spot safe.
I was able to secure my spot. And, I understand that. And I was, when I was on the team in the 90s and the early 2000s, there was a time when there was a lot of people on the team. And I lived in Vancouver, so it was easier to get to because they had all the practices there. Yeah. But I would love to see 220 people try out, because that means we would, if 99% of your training is in your dojo, and if you think about outside your dojo, then, most of it is with the BC team or with other clubs. And there's a lot of clubs now are hosting multi-club events, like your club, right?
Yep.
Are you having another you're having somebody else come in soon, I think, right?
Yeah, we bring in quite a bit of people. We had the fitness testing here that brought in clubs from all over the Okanagan. We're having Luis Plumacher come in to do a seminar in mid-November, and then the end of the month we have an officials clinic, Karate BC officials clinic here. So yeah, our club is sort of the central kind of meeting place for the dojos to come in and host events. So it works really good having a full-time facility that everybody can kind of gather and share.
It's nice for me because it's right here.
Yeah, it's like home, second home for you. Yeah.
I think that's great because the more clubs like yours put on these events, the less the BC team has to do those sort of things. Because regions I really like the idea of still zones being really active. And we've got 8 regions in the province. So that's awesome.
Yeah. I guess just one more question probably with in regards to the BC team changes this year. This year is the first year that a YTP has been mandatory or involved in the process whatsoever, shared between the coaches and the instructor. For those who don't know, YTP stands for yearly training plan or yearly training program. Would you mind just having a quick conversation or quick rundown of what a YTP is and why it's important for the BC team athletes this year?
Sure. The YTP is like a calendar, and we have it on a spreadsheet, and it has columns going forward for every month, and then inside those columns there's smaller cycles. So there's maybe a large period of time is several months, then there's other columns underneath for each month, then in weeks. And this is actually called periodization. And all we wanted the athletes to do this year is look at it and get an idea of what it looks like. We gave a really simple one. At first it seems complicated, but if an athlete really likes numbers, like, I really like thinking in percentages, they can fill it out in percentages. And there's columns there to do that. There's some rows. If they like thinking in phrases, like, I want to watch more videos, I need to get better sleep, I need to do this, that, and everything, they can write phrases in. And then what we're going to do after, I think next week or the week after, is we'll record a video about going, okay, so you said, 10 in terms of top importance for I need to be faster. Well, how do we get faster? And then we're going to make a video with one of our high performance coaches on what does that mean and how to do that. And so that'll come out soon.
A really good resource for everybody.
That'll be really helpful.
Athletes and instructors too, because some instructors, they'll look at the YTP and go, "What?
Yeah.
What is this? Why do I need to use it? I don't understand it."
Well, we in the sample in the template, there's a link that it's the explanation from, I think it's like the National Coaching Institute, and it explains what a YTP is, like 26 pages. And so you can read the intro, you can read the whole thing. Like it's dense, but it's all there. So if anybody says I don't understand it, well, then they can sit down for half an hour and read it. Because I think if you ever want to be a high performance athlete, then this is something you're going to think about a lot.
Absolutely.
You might do basketball, you might do piano, that sort of thing. But when you're now trying out for the BC team, we don't want to be tourists.
No.
So if you have to sit down for half an hour and read something, well, then you sit down for half an hour and read it and do it once, and it's like reading the rules, right? And that's okay, because the if they don't, the YTP, there's no wrong answer. It's just put in something. And now that I've seen like 150 of them, it's amazing how detailed people get.
Nice.
And then the number one thing that athletes have is that they're dealing with is anxiety and confidence. Even at a high level, even at the highest level, how can they deal with their anxiety and confidence? So by having a yearly training plan, it gives you a way of looking at the next couple months ahead and planning out the events that you have to go to, and then thinking about them. Like, how can I prepare and what should be important to me?
It probably helps you as a BC team manager and Karate BC High Performance Committee chair is you can look at that and say, holy cow, all this anxiety and confidence. Maybe at the next BC team training, instead of doing full tactical focus, we're going to bring in a sports psychologist and have a conversation and really get the needs of the athletes or the wants of the athletes. But,
and having a YTP actually, we have to do it for getting our government funding for Karate BC.
Okay.
That's been laid out to us. And also, you make a really good point. So with confidence and anxiety, is something they'll have to deal with. We have to address it. And actually, I've talked to Pacific Sport about bringing somebody in.
Yeah.
The other thing is we are, in Kumite, we are a weight sport. Like we have weight divisions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So people do cut weight. They do think about weight.
Mm-hmm.
They think about it incorrectly. Like, they're half a kilo under the maximum they could be at. If they're in minus 60 and they're at, 59.9 kilograms and they're 14 years old, they're going to put on a couple of kilograms next 6 months for sure. So maybe they should go up a division.
Yeah.
You can't be 5% over your weight and think you're going to go to nationals, you're going to lose weight. It's just not possible. And if you're 10%, like a lot of people think, oh, I'll just try and lose 10% of my weight in that week leading up, you're going to get sick and you're going to really hurt yourself.
That's a lot.
So it's really important that for athletes that it's better to train and try and be in the middle of a weight division. Like I remember when I was competing, I was when I was younger, I was lifting lots of heavy weights and stuff, and I was sitting at like 86, 87 kilos, and just in the heavyweight, I was slow, so slow. And then I changed my coaches, and they said, "Oh, just go stop lifting heavy weights and just do plyometrics and do speed training." And I dropped my weight in a year down to 77.
Wow!
And there was a time there were between 75 and 80 kilograms was the division. And when I was sitting at 77, it was the most comfortable, and I had my most success.
Yeah.
So, some people overthink what who's in the nationals, who's at the nationals in their division, so they want to like move down a weight division or up a weight division.
Yeah,
They actually
just
cause
to stay
too much
away
stress.
from that person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anxiety. Actually, the fitness test was great because at first we thought, well, this will be good for us to see where everybody is at in terms of their fitness level. But the most interesting thing is how much anxiety people had with the beep test.
That's crazy.
We had athletes, top athletes, shaking. Their hands were shaking.
Wow.
And they would start talking a lot and saying how great they were going to be, and then they would say, "I'm going to make 12," and they would step out at 8. And that was just anxiety, but that was good because you go to nationals, you have to perform because a champion is able to dig a little bit deeper into that willpower and a little bit deeper in dealing with that anxiety, and to know that they're going to feel anxious. You're going to feel uncomfortable. When you eat really, really spicy food, it's going to burn, so you're prepared. And then you eat a lot of spicy food, it's like, oh, this is nothing. So,
What did you feel about that, Lauren? I mean, it's your first year on the BC team. Get told that you have to do a fitness test. Was it a nerve-wracking thing for you, or?
Parts of it were, because we had done some practices in the dojo, and parts of it were different than the practice, so that was a bit stressful because I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
So.
Right.
But other than that, overall, it wasn't too bad.
It seemed okay.
The beep test was a little scary.
Was it?
Just because I've done it in school, and I got a really bad headache after.
Oh, okay.
So I don't have good memories of it.
Right.
So.
It's just shaking, just of nervousness. Well, that's
maybe
awesome.
A little dehydration before you started. So that was good. Now you had an idea of like, okay, maybe I have to drink more water in that 24 hours leading up to it, and and then understanding how crappy you're going to feel right at the end.
But that's good. That means you pushed hard, and that's what
exactly.
you guys want. Yeah. Well, hopefully that answers, I guess, a lot of the people's questions on a BC team perspective. We're going to hit you with a little bit of a lightning round. So we're going to throw at you very fast this or that questions. We need you to answer it as fast as Karateka. And how many passes? Should we give him some passes?
No problem.
How about 3?
Okay, you're allowed 3 passes. No more.
3 passes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, you got to do push-ups live on FaceTime.
All right.
All right. You want to hit him?
Okay.
Okay.
Pancake or waffle?
Waffles.
Kata or kumite?
Kumite.
Honesty or others' feelings?
Honesty.
Aka or ao?
Aka.
Blinds or curtains?
Blinds.
Kumite video review or no video review?
Video review.
Winter or summer?
Summer.
Bo or nunchaku?
Oh, nunchaku.
Soup or sandwich?
Soup.
Train or plane?
Train.
Interesting.
Dine in or delivery?
Dine in.
Mac or PC?
Mac.
That was quick. That was the fastest one yet.
Where was I? Oceans or mountains?
Oceans.
Beer or wine?
Beer.
Beer and more beer.
Save or spend?
Spend.
There you go. Oh, he did pretty good. I don't think he even passed once.
Nope, I don't think so.
Wow, that's impressive. Anyways, thanks so much for joining us. It's the very first episode. You're the very first guest.
Wow.
Good friend of mine. So I'm glad you took the time after your classes to
thank
join
you.
us and support us. And good luck with everything that you're doing. Everybody tune in to his podcast, Karate 360, as well as Kenzan Sports Karate in Victoria, kenzansportskarate.com. Thanks very much, Richard. I appreciate it a lot.
Let me say to you guys, thanks for having me on the show. And this is a really great idea, NextGen idea. And Lauren, fire out those questions, interview as many people as you can. I think this is a really amazing project that you guys have got going. We'd love to see you do this live at the BC Open and especially the Canada Open. Let's set up something on the side and take it as far as you can. And if you want to talk to some people from Japan and stuff, we can do that. We can organize that sort of stuff too.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. We talked about doing tournaments live, so we'll be in touch for sure. Maybe let's just do a quick plug of the Canada Open. Take 2 minutes. Richard is the organizer, the promoter of the Canada Open. When is it? Where is it? Where can people get signed up?
Canada Open Championships will be June 3rd and 4th, 2017 at the Richmond Olympic Oval. We are going to have the registration on the Karate BC website in about 4 weeks at www.karatebc.org under events. So definitely go check that out. This has been sanctioned by the Karate Canada. It'll be the largest karate tournament that's ever been held, as far as I know. Could be up to 8 rings. We're inviting something like 200 or 300 clubs from the United States and see if they actually come. I was at the West Coast Open yesterday in Washington, and I met with maybe 20 instructors and just chatting with them as friends and just reminding them. So the BC Open will be sooner. It'll be December 10th, and then the Canada Open will be next year in June. It'll be an annual event every year held in Richmond, in Vancouver, which is fantastic for us in Canada and on the West Coast, that we can hopefully have this really big event that we can go to.
Absolutely. Best of luck with it. Again, thank you so much for taking the time.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'll probably talk to you tomorrow anyway. So
awesome.
Okay, see ya.
Bye.
What a great guy he is, eh? Super high energy. He's a full-time karate instructor in Victoria, runs a great club out there, and hopefully, do you think that answered a bunch of questions for the BC team?
I think so. It answered some of mine.
Yeah, well, there you go, right? And there's so many people out there like you who it's their first year on the team. There's a lot of questions, a lot of anxiety, so hopefully our show will ease everybody's tension a little bit.
Yeah.
First show, first guest. Think it went good?
I think so, yeah.
Hopefully you guys liked it. nextgenkarate.com. Visit us online. Subscribe to our YouTube and like us on Facebook and
Twitter. Yeah,
hit us up on Twitter. We'll love to hear from you guys. That's guest number 1. Moving on right away. Guest number 2 is
Mike Ditson.
And number 3 is
Kyber Barnett.
Crazy. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for tuning in.